It had been exactly 1 year since Ethan died. Mara sat on her couch, phone in hand, eyes flicking from the blank television screen to the small framed photo on the mantle. Ethan, smiling and squinting into the sun at Rockaway Beach. It was the last photo they'd taken together. The timestamp on her phone read 11:58 p.m. She hadn't meant to stay up this late, but some part of her needed to see the day through. A silent visual. She opened her messaging app out of habit. Ethan's thread sat pinned at the top, untouched since the night he'd driven off the Whitestone Bridge. They'd argued. She'd sent a message in anger. "You never think about anyone but yourself." Those were her last words to him. The message had remained unread. A grayed checkmark eternally pending. Until now. Her heart lurched. There was a new icon under her message. Read 11:59 p.m. She stared, blinking. A glitch? Some update? Ping! Her phone vibrated. A reply. "Ethan, I always thought about you, Mara." She nearly dropped the phone. The message was impossible. Her first instinct was to call someone. Tasha, maybe, or Mom. But instead, her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She typed, "Who is this?" Delivered. Then, read. Ping! "Ethan, it's me. I'm sorry I left you with that." She stood abruptly, backing away from the couch as if the phone were toxic. Another message arrived. "Ethan, do you remember what you told me when we were kids about the time capsule under the oak tree?" No one knew about that. Not Tasha, not even their parents. Mara's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't thought about the time capsule in 20 years. It was something they'd done in secret, buried junk in a tin box under the old oak at their childhood home in Forest Hills. She remembered writing a letter in crayon. "Future Mara, don't forget Ethan always has your back." Her hands trembled. Ping! "Ethan, you put a purple shoelace in it. Said it would be our signal if we ever got lost." She stared at the screen, fingers cold. This wasn't a prank. Whoever, or whatever this was, they knew things no one else could. By the time the sun rose, Mara had deleted and re-downloaded her messaging app 3 times. She'd called Ethan's old number only to get a generic disconnected message. She even looked up the contact on her laptop. Nothing unusual. But the texts didn't stop. That morning, she drove to Forest Hills. The house had new owners, but the oak tree still stood in the backyard. She paced at the fence for almost 10 minutes before knocking. An older woman answered, wary. Mara explained she'd lived there as a child. The woman, after a long pause, agreed to let her look, just for a few minutes. The tree was smaller than she remembered, the bark more gnarled. She crouched at the base and began to dig with her hands, dirt caking under her nails. After 10 minutes, her fingers struck metal. The box was rusted, edges eaten by time. Inside, a coiled purple shoelace, a broken keychain, and a folded piece of paper. She unfolded the letter. Crayon. Her handwriting. Future Mara, don't forget Ethan always has your back. If something ever happens, I'll find a way back to you. I promise. She sank back, the letter trembling in her hand. Over the next few days, the texts continued. They were never hostile, never frightening, just him. Ethan. He remembered things no one else did. The game they played where the floor was lava. The name of the neighbor's dog who bit her in 2nd grade. Even the code word they used to escape boring family dinners. Uranus. It was unmistakably him. But then the tone shifted. Ethan. You shouldn't have gone to the tree. It's not safe when you start looking backwards. They don't like that. She tried not to panic. Tried. Her sleep deteriorated. Her appetite vanished. At night, she heard faint vibrations even when her phone was off. On the 5th night, she dreamed of the bridge. Ethan was there, standing on the edge. But this time, he wasn't alone. There were tall figures, featureless, almost smoky, circling him like vultures. One reached toward him with elongated fingers made of shadow. She woke, gasping. Another message waited. Ethan, I can't hold them off much longer. They're angry, I still remember. Mara didn't know what to do. Was she helping him by replying or making things worse? So she stopped responding. But the messages didn't stop. 2 days later, she received a photo. Her and Ethan, ages 6 and 10, sitting in the living room fort they'd built with couch cushions. She'd never seen that picture before. She scrolled up. The message attached read, Ethan, they're coming for you next if you keep remembering. She threw the phone across the room. That night, her apartment felt wrong. The air heavy, the shadows long. Her reflection in the mirror didn't quite move with her. And the quiet, too quiet. No cars, no hum of the fridge, just an awful, bloated silence. Then, the light bulb above her buzzed and popped. She ran out of the apartment. At a cheap motel in Queens, she slept for the first time in 3 days. No dreams, no messages. By morning, her phone was still. She returned home that evening. Everything looked normal, but the air still felt thick. She plugged in her phone. One new message. Ethan, you have to forget me. She stared at the screen. Forget him? After everything? She typed. Never. Delivered. Read. Ping. Ethan. Then they'll come. I'm sorry. The next few nights, she kept lights on, kept music playing, kept calling friends just to hear their voices. But the sense of something near didn't leave. She started seeing things in reflections, glimpses of motion when there was none. Her voice echoed strangely when she spoke aloud. Her phone screen occasionally flickered, showing the messaging app even when she hadn't opened it. She went to a medium out of desperation. The woman, old and blind, sat in silence as Mara described what was happening. The medium didn't flinch. Instead, she whispered, sometimes, when the dead hold on too tightly, they attract the others. The ones who hate memory, who feed on connection. Mara asked what she could do. The woman smiled, sad. You either let go or get pulled with him. She thought about deleting the messages, the app, changing her number, but she couldn't do it. Ethan was there, her brother, not a ghost. Not exactly. Just trapped. One final message arrived that night. Ethan, come to the bridge. She didn't hesitate. The white stone bridge shimmered under yellow streetlights, water below like obsidian glass. She stood where he'd last been seen, where his car had been found, door open, engine still running. No body, never recovered. She stepped to the edge. Her phone buzzed. A video call. Ethan. She answered. The screen shimmered, and there he was. But older, hollow-eyed, pale like moonlight, as if he'd lived a year in darkness. Mara, he said. His voice was distorted, echoing like a voice heard underwater. She stepped back from the edge, tears rising. I don't understand, she whispered. You weren't supposed to open the door. The time capsule, that message was a thread. They followed it. Who are they? Ethan didn't answer. His head jerked slightly like something yanked at him from behind. You have to burn it, the box, the message, everything. The screen glitched. Static. Promise me, he shouted. Burn it before... The screen went black. A sound behind her. She turned. The shadows along the bridge railing rippled. Something was watching. No eyes or form, just a presence. And then she ran. Back home, she did what he asked. She went to her car, retrieved the box, the letter, the purple shoelace. She set it all in the fireplace, lit a match. The flames flared high, briefly turning green-blue, casting long shadows across the room. As the paper curled and blackened, the air in the apartment shifted. A deep pressure lifted. The silence cracked. And then, nothing. A week passed. No more texts. The account vanished from her phone. When she tried to look up Ethan's number, it no longer existed. Not even in her backups. Even the photo on the mantle was gone. Not stolen, just missing. The frame sat empty. Her therapist said it was grief, delayed trauma, sleep deprivation. Mara agreed. But sometimes when she walked near a body of water or passed under flickering street lamps, she felt it again. Not fear exactly, but a warning. 3 months later, she got a new phone, a new number. She stopped visiting the bridge, stopped thinking about the tree, the capsule, the message. She was doing better. Until one night, while scrolling through her contacts to call Tasha, she saw it again, pinned to the top. Ethan, unread. Trembling, she opened it. A single message. You remembered.